Hello and welcome. Live from Tehran, you've joined us for the news on Election Day right here in Islamic Republic. Thanks so much for being with us. And the first story, of course, definitely relates to the election where Iranians have turned out in large numbers across the country to choose a new president as well as their city and village council representatives. Now, the voting time has been extended for 4 hours across the country due to the high turnout. In Tehran province, it has been extended for 5 hours as the election official says the voter turnout there is predicted to reach 70%. Now, the Interior Ministry has allowed local officials to start counting the ballots in areas where the polls have already closed. There have been no reports of irregularities or security incidents so far. The leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, cast his ballot as soon as the polls open at 8 in the morning, local time.
Leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, casting his vote in the country's presidential election at the Imam Khomeini Husseiniye. Like each election in Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei made brief remarks after voting.
خداوند متعال رو سپاسگزاریم که به ما و ملت عزیزمون این توفیق رو داد که یک بار دیگر در حرکتی و اقدامی که در سرنوشت کشور مؤثره توفیق پیدا کنیم و شرکت کنیم. همطور که اشاره کردید این حقیقتا یک حماسه است و انشاءالله امروز ملت ایران نشان خواهند داد که به معنای حقیقی کلمه حماسه به وجود خواهند آورد.
Ayatollah Khamenei urged Iranians from all walks of life to participate in the presidential election.
توقع بنده حقیر از ملت عزیزمون این است که همه شرکت کنند و توصیه میکنم که زود حضور پیدا کنند، تأخیر نیندازند.
The leader also slammed a U.S. official's recent comments against the electoral process in Iran.
اخیراً شنیدم که از شورای امنیت ملی آمریکا کسی گفته که ما این انتخابات ایران قبول نداریم. خب به درک که قبول ندارید. اگر قرار بود ملت ایران منتظر بمونه که شما چی رو قبول دارید و چی رو میل دارید اونطور عمل بکنه که کلاهش پس معرکه بود.
Over 50 million people are eligible to vote, with more than 1.5 million first-time voters. 6 candidates are running for president. Any candidate who receives half of all votes plus one will become president. Otherwise, a runoff will be held within a week. Also, more than 200,000 candidates are competing for over 126,000 seats in urban and rural councils.
Well, meanwhile, Iranians living in other parts of the world are also playing their role in determining the fate of their country for the next 4 years. Iranian expatriates in over 90 countries are voting to choose a new president to run their homeland. Over 850,000 ballot papers have been dispatched to polling stations overseas. Iranians in the U.S. voted at 18 stations in different states. Election authorities say they are ready to send more ballot papers if needed.
The polling stations for the Iranian presidential election opened in Germany to give Iranians living outside their home country the chance to cast their vote. More than 100,000 Iranians live in Germany, and despite Friday being a working day here, many came to the Iranian embassy in Berlin to vote.
It shows the affiliation of Iranians who are living outside to their homeland. It doesn't matter whether they are living here or inside Iran. They have the same affinity and the same feeling about their homeland and the importance the priorities for Iranian nation.
Polling stations were set up in Berlin, the consulates in Hamburg, Munich and Frankfurt, as well as in Bonn, the former German capital. Eligible voters taking part in the election chose one of the 6 candidates to succeed Mahmoud Ahmadinejad as president of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And although they might be far away from their hometown, they feel the responsibility to take part in this key event.
With my vote, I want to help improve the situation for the poor in Iran. I know people who have cancer and who can no longer afford medicine, all because of the sanctions. The West really needs to rethink.
Especially we who live outside Iran have to stand by our country and our people. In Iran, everyone is voting, so I think I have to do the same. That's really important. After all, we are part of this country.
I'm against war and against boycotts, and the people in Iran are in a difficult situation at the moment. I took the opportunity to maybe make things better for the future.
The polling station in the Iranian embassy in Berlin remains open for the day, allowing Iranians to freely cast their vote and contribute to electing the candidate of their choice. Many Iranians living in Germany used their right to vote in the presidential election in the 5 polling stations set up all over the country. And now they'll curiously await the result. Stefan Herrmann, Press TV, Berlin.
Well, the head of the office of Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, the leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, has addressed presidential candidates while visiting election headquarters in Tehran. Hojjatul Islam Mohammad Mohammadi Golpaygani says the leader wants those who lose the vote to work with the president-elect. He says the future president needs the help of others because he will be shouldering a heavy responsibility of running the country for the next 4 years. And Tehran's Friday prayers leader says elections in Iran are different from those in the rest of the world. Ayatollah Imam Khashoggi drew a distinction between voting in Iran and in the U.S. as an example. He said ideology plays no role in American elections, and a president is elected from one or of 2 parties there, while in Iran, Islam and the Islamic Republic are the ultimate criteria for voting. Tehran's Friday prayers leader says the need to safeguard Iran is also a key criterion in all elections in the country. Meanwhile, Professor William Beeman from the University of Minnesota told us earlier that people's participation in the elections has a message for Washington. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
The United States has a long time felt that sanctions would result in such discontent in Iran that the Iranians would overthrow their government, and that is what some of the hardliners in the United States hope will happen. This is, of course, ridiculous, and we're seeing in this election that the Iranian people have not decided to overthrow their government. They've decided to support the government in this election. And so these desires on the part of the United States are completely frustrated.
Well, as Iranians are waiting to see who the winner of the presidential election is, it's time for us to take a look at the profiles of the candidates, who include 3 principalists, 2 independents, and 1 reformist.
There are 6 final candidates from various camps in Iran's 2013 presidential election. In alphabetical order, they are Saeed Jalili, the incumbent secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council and the head of Iran's team of negotiators with the P5+1 group of mostly Western countries. Jalili is a veteran of the Iraqi-imposed war in the 1980s that gave him a permanent disability in his right leg. He holds a PhD in political science and has spent most of his career in top positions in Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mohammad Gharazi, a veteran who has served at the top of different ministries under multiple administrations. Gharazi was a revolutionary fighting Iran's former regime under the Shah, for which he was arrested in the early 1970s. Gharazi was also elected to Majlis or Parliament in the first post-revolution legislative elections. His later experiences in administrative positions include the Governor-General of Khuzestan and Kurdistan provinces after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf, the current mayor of Tehran. Ghalibaf is a former commander of the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps, the IRGC, and an ex-chief of Iran's police. Like Jalili, he has the experience of fighting in the front lines of the Iraq-Iran war in his teenage years. Ghalibaf has a PhD in geopolitics and is also a certified pilot of civilian planes. This is Ghalibaf's second bid for presidency after he lost the vote in 2005. Mohsen Rezai, a former IRGC commander and the current secretary of Iran's Expediency Council. Rezai started his early political career fighting the regime of the Shah. He led the IRGC forces during the Iraqi-imposed war on Iran in the 1980s. He has a PhD in economy. This is Rezai's third bid for Iran's top executive post. He withdrew his candidacy in 2005 and lost to Ahmadinejad in 2009. Hassan Rouhani is the only cleric running in this year's race. He's a former secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. Rouhani was the head of Iran's team of negotiators with the West under former President Mohammad Khatami. He served as an MP for 5 consecutive terms up to 2000 in Iran's parliament, where he held high posts like Deputy Speaker and Defense Committee Chairman. Rouhani has a PhD in law and is a member of the Expediency Council. Ali Akbar Velayati is Iran's former foreign minister. Velayati may be one of Iran's longest-serving politicians. He's mostly known for his years serving as foreign minister during the Iraq-Iran war. He was also the foreign minister for 8 years under ex-president Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani. Velayati, a general practitioner, is now a top advisor on international affairs to Iran's leader, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei.
Well, you see breaking news at the bottom of your screen that Russia now is saying that the arms supplies to insurgents would actually escalate the situation. And we know that that is referring to the situation with the United States now, saying that perhaps they will send arms directly and even try to impose a no-fly zone in parts of the country. We'll be bringing you more on that as we get it in. We're going to switch right now, though, right here in Tehran. Getting more election news, let's switch over to Pedram Khododadi. Hi, Pedram. Tell us the latest of what you have.
Okay, Marzia. Now we're about 15 minutes to 11. The voting hours has been extended to 11 o'clock. Now we're seeing the lines are mostly inside. The line outside is not as long as it used to be hours ago. It is possible that we're going to see the elections, the ballot boxes closing at 11. No, this is one of the biggest mosques in Iran and in Tehran, and there's quite a few people that came. We had people coming here from 8 o'clock till 11 till right now. It hasn't stopped the flow of people, but now it's not as much as people outside as it used to be. So I'm guessing it might be 11, or longest we're going to go, considering the other polling station is going to be 12 o'clock at night. And after that, after a short break, they're going to start the vote count. If you can look on the right to me, there's still quite a few people that are still present here, but after that, the numbers are going to reduce, but still there's quite a number of people inside here. And I'm personally guessing we're going to see it close in the next hour tops.
Okay. All right. And of course, we haven't heard any word yet, again, on a possible extension. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. That was Pedram Khododadi, right in the northern part of Tehran, at Hosseini Ershad.